Good evening. I'm coming on here today just to talk about a life lesson. When you sit back and view others and you go back and listen to your own videos, and a lot of people speak about God, and we all have different beliefs. We live in a country where we are allowed to have those beliefs, and that's what makes our country great. In America, we can do that. But I think that we all should have consideration of several points. Number one, when you speak about God, you are speaking about an entity that a lot of people believe in. God does not like to be taunted. He does not like to be thrown in other people's faces. And God, in general, will not tolerate being made fun of. When you bring God's name into a conversation and you apologize for something you know that you're going to do is wrong from the beginning, and yet you go ahead and do it, and you use God's name, God has a tendency, if you do not ask for forgiveness and show by example that you mean for forgiveness, then he has a very morbid sense of humor in a way. God will only tolerate so much evilness, hurtness, violence, and usage of his name and his throne to allow humans to deliver violence and torment upon children, adults, and others. And when you speak about God in the mannerism to make fun of children, other adults, and God himself, and you laugh at it, he will not tolerate that. Now, I am not here to judge anyone, but I am here to give a big sense of a life lesson. Many people continue to utilize the premise that they can state whatever they want about others, that they can continually victimize victims and children over and over again, that they can humiliate, slander, defame, and hang innocent people upon a crucifix in the view of a public opinion. It doesn't matter what side, which YouTube channel, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. It doesn't matter. God will have payback. And not everyone believes in God. Some people believe in spiritual being. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, a moral compass that all humans know will come, and that compass will make sure there is a deliverance of good for those that have been harmed. I would suggest that all of us take a look before we use our words, and that we examine exactly what we are doing with our behaviors in our words before we speak them. I've noticed that poor individuals on some of the YouTube channels, they say they are from the wrath and the throning of the Old Testament. The Old Testament was good for what it provided before Christ came. But we must understand, the last book of the Old Testament of Malachi, when Simon was still alive, and when Moses and Abraham and Jacob and all the prophets were living at that time. If you honestly believe just in the Old Testament, then you're going to have the superior attitude that you must sacrifice something in order to get in God's grace. Simon explained to Malachi, if you read the 4 chapters of Malachi, God promised Simon, you will see the birth of the Creator. He was speaking of Christ before your death. This was a promise to him. When Christ was born, and when Christ went into the temple when he was 12 years old, and when he was crucified, there was no more requirement from the Old Testament for the sanctity of a sacrifice to be made unto God, whether it be a human, an animal, your best crops. That was no longer accepted. When an individual stands before a congregation, and when individuals are on YouTube and they are stating, God has taken down people before, I am going to do the fury from the Old Testament. Okay? If you're doing that, may you consider that Christ has already came. He was already crucified. And he was the ultimate sacrifice. So, we do not need to ask, we do not need to give any more sacrifices of our own best quality of goods or a life or a child. It is not necessary unless if that is the religion that you believe in. And in the United States, when you have that mentality and you quote those type of ideologies of believing in the Old Testament, even if you were not referring to those specific things, you must understand that the universe is watching what you're doing and saying and what is happening to you and the others around you. God will not allow to be a mockery. It's not tolerated. Especially when children are involved. It is not accepted by God. Because children belong to God. They are on loan to human beings. They are a gift from God. None of us, as parents, have the privilege to utilize our children, no matter the age, no matter the disability, to use our child in the face of God. It is not permissible by God's authority. And when we do that in front of everyone, and when we continue as parents to say to our children, well, something's chasing you and it's from the devil. Or when we're an adult and we make fun of a child and say, well, they're from Lucifer, or their parents are from Lucifer. That is wrong. Children should never be exposed to those type of fears. So, I'm asking you to look at that door in front of you and understand the key is from God. And then I would like for you to have consideration that Christ was already crucified And we don't need to keep on bringing these young children and these teenagers into a path of destruction that we know as a society is cruel and evil. It's not necessary. It's uncalled for. And before anyone else gets hurt, consider what has happened and transpired over the last 9 to 10 years of your lives. And know that other people have been watching and what children have been through already. It doesn't matter your position, what organization you're with, whose side you're on. It doesn't matter even what child it is. It doesn't matter. It's a child. But try not to utilize God's name against children. And understand this. We as a society, with the belief of Christianity, do not have to sacrifice anything. Christ was the ultimate sacrifice. What we do have to do, according to the 2 new commandments in the New Testament, is that we have to love the Lord God before any other God and not put any other God before him. 2, we have to love others as though God loves us. Now, there is a lot, I hear a lot of hatred out there. Myself, I don't like the word hatred because I think it's a very strong negative word. And there's 3 other words that I totally dislike. And those words are stupid, idiot, and dumb. I believe every human being has the potential to be a successful story in our society. I've always believed that, and I always will believe it. So I'm asking you, as adults, and no matter what has been said on any side about anyone, that you take a look at your own behavior and what you have been willing to do unto another individual, especially if it was a child. And you consider in your own conscience, in your own soul, with your own moral compass of how you can correct what has been done. And I'm not just talking about the last 2.5 years. You need to go back 10 years. And you need to think about everything that is happening, because God's moving quickly. Ultimately, the death of any individual is up to God. He can take someone early. He can take someone late. Often he takes individuals as an example. Is it right for God to take another one's life early? I'm not here to say it is or it's not. What I am here to say is in the New Testament, if you read Ephesians, it states that parents and grandparents, for instance, I'm a grandparent. I'm a great-great-aunt. Whatever I pray for my next 5 generations, if I am in good faith with Christ, that protection for those 5 generations that come after me, or 4 generations, whatever you may have in your family, that is a guaranteed from Christ in the New Testament. Now, if your behavior is exhibiting negativity towards those next generations, and you're not protecting them with the assurance and the promise and the belief from Christ, and you're willing to set that next generation up for failure without having faith And without showing examples, without showing that your child can be set up for success, then you have already failed. And what you failed is a faith. The faith to justify the life of the next generation. Take a look at your own life lesson tonight with a conscience. Take a look at all the quick deaths, because there are more than just two. There are many. Take a look at what you're willing to sacrifice and to give up. Another consideration is this. In God's eyes, one never states, I am better than you. I have more than you. I have, and they flaunt everything. That is wrong. That is from the Old Testament clear through Revelations, chapter 17. That's wrong to do that. It is better to say, how can I help you? What do you need? Or to keep quiet and just have something or someone show up out of the blue. That happens more often than what people realize. I would strongly discourage the word and the usage of hate. I would strongly discourage stating that it is not my responsibility to help put up posters of every missing human being, especially children. It takes 3 seconds. And finally, I would state this. Be careful what you request from either side, Lucifer or God. Because you may think you are requesting things from the dark side. And they may be gifts from God. God is a just God. But you have to file and follow those guidelines when it comes to children, for your own faith, for their soul. The world is a cruel place. And sometimes all of us are required to look at things and accept them and walk away, or to be quiet and to know the truth will finally come out. It is up to us to decide how much we're willing to send out there into the universe, and how much that we're willing to sacrifice of the next generation. You all have a good weekend. It's almost a weekend. But have a good week and consider your children. And consider your safety and those tracking devices I keep on talking about, because they're very important. And you know what? When it comes to kids and some of our vulnerable adults, those tracking devices, those AirPods, they come in real handy. Be safe. And consider just sitting and watching. But when it does come to God, and people throwing around God, I'm telling you, payments from God and repayment to God is something none of us want to fool with. No matter what you think about God. Because more than so, I believe a lot of people know about God. But I would be very careful when you're utilizing children against a curator who knew their names in the womb. Be cautious. Good night.